What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. Welcome to the show. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Lay the smack down, like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and the message out. Doing now, help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into the stuff. You guys know we got stuff, and you can call in and we can get into it. If for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat, hit the super chat button there, send your question or comments, and I'll read them live on air. All right. What's today? Today is Thursday. Character Breakdown Thursday, baby. We getting into that character breakdown. I got something interesting for you guys today. We shall get to that. But first, and of course, just a little news. Just to start it off, warm it up into the topic. A little news really quick. I found this on Instagram. On the Wealth channel on Instagram, right? And just a little story here I wanted to share with you guys. Let me pull it up. Picture. This guy. Oh, let me read it first. Blood donor who saved 2.4 million babies with his rare plasma passed away at 88. There's a guy there, Harrison. He died. He had a rare blood plasma that he was giving to young children, and he passed away. And let me get you this other one here because there's interesting stuff about him. Harrison donated blood and plasma 1,173 times once every 2 weeks from 1954 to 2008. Isn't that interesting? His plasma had a rare antibody that was used to prevent several diseases in newborn babies. Isn't that cool? I brought this up because I wanted to highlight, for one, shout Mr. Harrison out. And I was meaning to do this a while ago. But just because people like this aren't really, showcased in the media, of course, and they're not very popular, or, they don't get honored, and the reason why I think it's so, kind of special is because you got to think that this man has this rare plasma in his blood, right? I don't know nothing about this man other than the fact that this is what he did, allegedly, right? According to Wealth, that he has his rare blood. He was born with it. He didn't ask for it, right? He didn't ask God, can I get a rare antibody that saves children, right? Helps prevent diseases. He didn't ask for that, but he was born with it. And he gave blood from 1954 to 2018. So what would that make him? Let me try to do a little rough math. That would make him 50, or I guess he said what time. I'm trying to think when he started giving blood. If he was 88 when he died in 2018, then you take away 10, 80 years, that would be 50, right? My math kind of sucks. Something like that. 60. No. Anyway, the point is, between the time that he was giving blood, you got to think about what has to be going through his mind, right? He suddenly has this like obligation to give his blood to help these children. So he has to stay healthy, I'm sure. He has to stay sane, right? He can't kill himself. He can't, you know, risk his life in any kind of way because he feels this sense of responsibility. So, however long he gave this plasma for all those years, a thousand plus times, you got to understand the type of courage that takes to stay on track in order to do that. So he should be appreciated. He should be honored. And he should be respected because of the fact that that's not an easy thing. He didn't ask for that, but he rose to the occasion and stayed true until he passed away in giving blood. And that's amazing. And these people aren't honored enough. So I just wanted to share that a little bit. Chad is making fun of me for my my math. So 64 years. 64 years he was giving blood. A straight 64 years giving blood every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Because it was valuable, it was needed. So salute to Mr. Harrison and rest in peace. And we wish his family and his family well, and may his legacy of courage and maybe passing down, if he has any children, the rare plasma continue down his lineage. Amazing stuff. Moving on. Ooh. Moving on. So character breakdown Thursday. Today is character breakdown Thursday. I wanted to get into some stuff. Something that I realized that I wanted to share with you guys. What I realized about my own anger within that allowed me to have just a better understanding of myself, but in the rest of the world. And some of you may know this, most of you may already know this, but maybe it's a nice little reminder, because it was a nice little reminder for me when I realized, is that I realized that behind anger, everyone is just lost, broken, confused, hurt, and scared in some way or another. Behind everybody's anger, they're just lost, hurt, confused, broken, and scared in one way or another. And what anger is a mask to that. And I was thinking about that. I was like, that's so interesting, because anger is just a mask. And I'm going to tell you why anger is a mask. Because everybody's just lost and confused, right? That then turns into anger, and anger tends to be the defense, right? Anger is the defense mechanism of these things, right? And when you see somebody who gets angry, I've noticed it in myself, it's only to protect what I feel is weak on the inside, right? Anger is just a defense, right? And I realize why people cling on to the anger thing is because it gives a false sense of confidence, right? A false sense of intimidation. And it kind of protects your ego from continuing to get hurt, right? It's kind of protecting you in a way. And the fear and the pain and the brokenness that we've been through, we don't want to be exposed. We don't want to kind of show, right? So we hide behind the anger. For me, I realized that my anger, the mask of anger doesn't really show up too much in my life as much as a smile does, right? I more hide behind a smile than I do like aggression. You know what I mean? And but it's coming from the same place. It's still a mask, right? But I realized that with that anger, right? That anger is what creates the conflict within. Right? Am I making sense here? That anger is what creates conflict within, because anger is not life, right? It doesn't give life, right? It only destroys, it's death, right? Anger um creates conflict within, and when conflict is being created, what then happens? We need an escape. We need some type of pleasure to soak from the pain that we're feeling, from the anger and the confusion and the hurt and the fear, really, all hidden behind this anger, right? We need some type of satisfaction, some relief, some escape, some pleasure. So we pick up food, sex, alcohol, weed, caffeine, marriage, children. We pick up and other things too, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And even marriage and children, right? We seek outwardly for what we're seeking for, we're searching for within, right? And all these little things we pick up help get us through the day. I realize this in my own life. But with Christians who repent, right, and are honest with themselves, God's grace is there to help us overcome, right, and to see and to learn. But we're still in the process of overcoming. But I realized also that we're no different than ones who we see on the news. The people are the ones who, I'm no different than the ones whose lifestyles are more extreme than mine that we see in the news or in the jails or on these true crime stories, right? That I'm no different. I'm gonna tell you why. Is that if we don't check that that anger and that pain, that those issues that we have within, if we don't check it and be honest about it, right? The pleasure seeking, the evil within us, right? If we don't check it and we're not honest about it, then what God will do is he'll just give us away to the darkness, right? Because we're not turning to him. We're not repenting. We're not being honest about what's going on. So he'll give us away to the darkness. And what happens that then we start to pick up deeper issues, homosexuality, pedophilia, rape, murder, and all these things start coming up, right? But nonetheless, it's still a lost, broken, scared, confused person. Still, right? The only thing is, the reason why they're not being honest is because they're lost, scared, confused, and broken. And it's hard to you just don't want to experience any more pain. So we're no different, right, than anybody else in the world. And the reason why I bring that up, because it helped me realize about myself that all that stuff is just a coping mechanism. All of it is just a coping mechanism. And we go through life and we get caught up and our ego gets carried away or whatever. And that's okay, right? We're meant to learn from that and get back on track. But we cannot forget to humble ourselves, right? Repent and turn back. And sometimes God will do it on our behalf. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. He'll remind us, hey, boy. And sometimes we don't even know. we're off track, or we're in our ego, or we're doing too much, or sometimes we're just trying our best, but trying your best is still not an excuse for your behavior. So God will come in and give us a glimpse and show us what's going on. And if we ignore that and we continue on in denial of what is within, then he'll stop reminding us and just give us away to the darkness. And then that's how you get the pride events and the killers and all that stuff, because it just perversion just got, the escape had to get bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? And because we're all just lost, confused, broken, scared, we hurt others. We hurt others. And not always intentional, but sometimes intentional. But the ones that seem intentional, we want to be mad about them, right? I keep saying we, but I'm speaking about myself. Is that I find myself wanting to be mad at people who seemingly are doing things on purpose, right? Or they know that they're this way and still do it. And I find myself being mad about it, being angry about it. But what it really is, I'm just hurt. I'm just afraid of the consequence. I'm just confused on why. So then the result of that is judgment. Now I'm judging them, right? Now I put on the mask of anger to protect myself and to hurt somebody else. So then we hurt others. Now realizing that everybody is in the same condition. And I was watching this podcast in preparation for my show. It's called Broken Record Podcast. Will Smith was on there. I didn't really expect to get this out of, I wasn't looking for this, what Will Smith said, but it ended up being pretty profound to me on how he describes how all people are wounded. Here we go. We'll get to that.
One of the things that I realized in the last couple of years is we're all wounded. Wounding is existential. The specific parts of our personal wounding is unique to our experience, but it's not unique to humanity. There's a sameness to our existential wounding that makes us mistreat each other, right? And the recognition of our plight, of all being dropped into this place of absolute chaos and brutality and confusion. And when I can find my sameness with you, we're less likely to fight about it.
That was very deep to me. I don't know what it was to y'all, but very deep to me, just because it was all kind of making sense to what I had realized or what I was reminded of. And it's so true, though, is that everybody just fighting. We're at war. We're judging. And it all comes down to just a reflection of our brokenness. That's really what it is. And like Will Smith said, when we can recognize, and not intellectually recognize, but truly recognize that we're all the same and we're all in this quest to overcome together, though some of us may not be intentionally trying to overcome or even want to overcome, right? Still, but nonetheless, everyone is still in this fallen state, right? As Jesse Lee Peterson talks about. Everyone is still in this fallen state in the pursuit of trying to overcome. And that's why forgiveness is so important. because you realize that, like, wow, that how I feel in these moments of realization about self, right? When I peel my mask back and see what's really going on and recognize how I'm feeling, like, wow, that's a mess, right? Then you realize that, and also when you realize that you mean well, that you're not trying to hurt anybody, you're not trying to cause any harm, but you still are, right? And you realize that, then you start to see that, wow, other people on the other end are feeling that exact same way. They feel that exact same way. It's just manifested in other ways, right? They're just using other coping mechanisms, right? Different coping mechanisms, and anger being one of the main ones to express that. And really, they're just, hurt people. And when you realize that, that's when you're able to forgive, because you see that they're just hurting just like you, right? And if everybody understood that, and we would remember that, then we would be quick to forgive, right? We would be quick to let things go. And the Bible says something about, don't overcome evil with evil, overcome evil with good, right? And believe me, there's times where revenge wants its day, and that you want to, like, eye for an eye. But that's repaying evil with evil, right? That's not repaying evil with good. And you repay evil with good by loving your enemies. Loving your enemies. But what does that even mean? How do you even love your enemies? How is that even possible? And that's why it's so foreign to people that loving your enemies is what you should do. And that's like one of the least scriptures people remember. Love your enemies, right? Because that's so hard to do. How do you just love your enemies? But when you start to recognize, or even have a glimpse of realizing that, like I said, everybody is the same and just broken, lost, scared, confused, hiding, blind and can't see, then it's easier to love your enemies, right? You understand more what that means. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand, like, why Jesus was saying, like, what Jesus say? Jesus was like, forgive them. Why he's getting beat up? They're just beating that boy up, right? Jesus was, while they're beating him, he's bloody. And he says, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's just it's a crazy concept to me, because impulsively, you just want to just destroy, especially if you're the, I hate the word victim, but if you're on the end of being accused of something that you didn't do, you're being lied on, you're being mistreated falsely, and then on top of that, the people know that they're doing that. Lord, there's too many layers to this. Lord, and they know that they're doing that to you. How are you gonna forgive them? How are you gonna love them despite that? And it goes back, the proof is in the pudding, where Jesus says, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't know the depths of what's happening. They can't see it. And that's what I realized in myself too. Same exact thing. Just living life and doing stuff, not even knowing if, sometimes you get an idea if it's causing harm, but oftentimes you just being yourself. And that's why you shouldn't be judged for that. You shouldn't be judged for just being yourself, but you got to be aware and still not just freely just be right. You got to always be aware of yourself, and you'll get little moments of reminders of that. Like, okay, you gotta calm down. You gotta chill. You're acting up now, and you gotta quickly humble yourself. So, anyway, let me go to some super chats. Let me see here. Let me check the super chats real quick here. Lin Yan Chin says, Prince of Prance, please let JLP know my comment about you dancing with a lesbian. What? Rides of his own use of it to you long before you left to do your dance insurance guy bit. He thinking mess of it. I didn't quite understand it either, Lynn. The comment, the super chat on the JLP show. I didn't quite understand it either. I don't remember that bit about the lesbian and dancing. But I know you meant well. I didn't think that you were trying to be offensive or nothing like that. But I don't remember that one, man. But thank you, Lynn. I appreciate it for super chat. Let me check here. Let me check the coffees here. Making sure. Bible Talk with C-Sal with the super chat. Waiting on God and he waiting on me. Right on, C-Sal. That's right. Joel Friday makes hip hop music for lacrosse teams. What the? Reduce the rambling, calm down, and focus the flow of your attention. Oh, my bad, Lynn. Was I rambling? 888-775-3773. You guys can get in there and we can have a conversation. We could talk about it. Feel free to call in. I'm just reading a couple of chats here. Kale says, I forgive people because I love them and vengeance is God's, not because they are like me. That's like saying we deserve forgiveness. Well, the point is, Kale, that I'm more so saying that when you can recognize your intention, when you can recognize why you do the things you do, then you can recognize it in others. And in recognizing that is what makes it easier to forgive or see why you should forgive. Because you don't want anybody holding anything against you. You don't want people looking at you as something that you're not based off of something improper that you said or something improper that you did. You don't want to be judged. So that's what I meant by that. I'm way too old for revenge. It ages you, Joel. That's right. Interesting stuff. Karen says, if we fight our inner selves, if/when we recognize ourselves in others, we fight them worse. If we fight our inner selves, if/when we recognize ourselves in others, we fight them worse. I don't see it like that. I just don't see it like that. But if you say so, waiting on God, he waiting on me. Is my IG going here? Right on. Let me see here. Joel Friday is Tim Walt's son, favorite rapper. What the? My chats are cooking. Well, that's pretty much all I got for y'all. You guys can call in. If not, then I might end a little early. Because that's the main point I wanted to make about anger and all that stuff. The last thing I do want to say about that, and if calls come in, I'll take them. But if not, I'll probably end early. The last thing I want to say about that is that everybody has their own ways of their own defense mechanism. And some may be maybe getting angry, right? Angry to get their way. Some may smile to get their way. Some way, all kinds of different ones. But they all go back to the same thing, right? It's all protection of the ego, all protecting yourself from harm, all not wanting the truth to be revealed, all just fear stuff. So I just encourage us all to just pay attention. But other than that, y'all, that's all I got. So I'm going to end a little early. Today is my last day, and I'm back here on Monday. I am not here tomorrow. No Joel Friday TV on Friday. So you guys can make sure you guys check out American Anchor Baby. Check out The Hake Report. Check out Jesse Lee Pearson's show tomorrow as normal. And The Fallen State as well at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure that Fallen State takes my place on Fridays. So make sure you guys watch that. Check that out. I'll see you guys back on Monday. I appreciate the super chats. I appreciate you guys tuning in, watching, the comments, all of that stuff. Y'all are amazing. Until next time, I got to get out of here. As soon as I get my settings correct. And then I'll see you. Bye.